Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today, I'm going to be giving you a list of 5 series that I recommend if you like the Dragonlance series. And in particular, I'm talking about the Dragonlance Chronicles or other series or other portions of the series, I guess you would say, that were written by Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman, and that is because those are the parts of the series that I have read. I haven't read any other Dragonlance books that are by other authors. So for my reference of what I'm recommending to you are based on Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman's portion of the series. If you end up liking this list, hopefully you'll give me a like. And if you're not already part of the community, please go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of the Fantasy Fiction Fanatics community. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. If you have read any of these series already, I'd love to hear your thoughts and if you think it is a good recommendation for a Dragonlance lover. All right, first one I recommend is The Legend of Driest by R.A. Salvador. I recommend this because of its connection to Dungeons and Dragons. So if you are a reader who likes Dragonlance because it is related to Dungeons and Dragons and it comes from Dungeons and Dragons, and you haven't read R.A. Salvador's series, I think it is a really good recommendation to check out those books. He has a really good author. He has similar kinds of creatures and beings in this series because it is also a part of Dungeons and Dragons, even though I believe it is based off the Forgotten Realms instead of the world of Krynn. So it has those similar aspects to it. I have only read the Dark Elf trilogy. I plan to read more, but that's the trilogy that I specifically have read, and so based on that, it is a darker storyline. It deals with a lot more darker tones, darker beings and themes, so it is a darker story than Dragonlance, but it does have a lot of really, really good aspects to it as well, and I think if you like Dragonlance, it'll be likely that you will also like the Legend of Driest series. So hopefully you'll give those a try if you haven't tried them already. For the second recommendation, I'd like to recommend the Deathgate Cycle by Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman. So obviously it's the same authors, so if you like the writing style of Dragonlance, you will hopefully like the writing style of the Deathgate Cycles, considering it is the same authors writing it. So that's already a big plus and part of why I think that this is a good series to recommend. But the second reason is because I feel like it has a similar kind of vibe in like the creatures and beings that are in this series. It's about this one world that has been split into 4 different worlds, and these 2 very high level powerful races that are kind of at odds with each other. But each of the different worlds has different kind of beings like dwarves and humans and other types of mythical creatures and beings, elves, such like that. So even dragons are in this as well. So I think it's just a very good type of story that's very kind of, I wouldn't say the same as Dragonlance, but it has a lot of similar aspects, and it does have that big epic journey with a lot of good characters in it. So I feel like it's definitely has enough crossover between the 2 series while being enough different that you will find it interesting. And again, since it's by the same authors, it's hopefully a writing style that you enjoy and that you would like to have more of in a different aspect. So definitely think you should try it out. It has a very interesting story. It has a lot of interesting world building into it. So definitely check this one out if you like the Dragonlance series. Okay, number 3 is the Codex Alera series by Jim Butcher. So the reason I recommend this particular one is for 2 main reasons. One, this series also has a very large cast of main characters, just like Dragonlance does. They don't kind of like run in the same area all the time. They are a little bit more spread out, but it definitely has a lot of good main characters that are important to the story and that really add a lot to the story that I think you would like if you like the Dragonlance series. as well as they've got a lot of unique creatures, a lot of unique aspects to this world that I think you would really enjoy based on liking the Dragonlance series, because both series have that depth of the different cultures, the different kinds of beings, the different kind of creatures, and how that affects the main characters, affects the plot, affects the world. And I think that you would really enjoy learning about these new beings that are in the world of the Codex Alera, as well as it's got a really good, strong plot about a boy named Tavi who doesn't have any magical abilities, when everybody else has the ability to have an affinity for one or multiple elements, and they can manipulate those elements to their will, and he is the only one that does not have this, and he goes on adventures that are unexpected for him. So I think that this story has an interesting enough plot and has those different elements of the large cast of main characters, as well as the interesting creatures and interesting world, that I think would really pull it all together and be enjoyable for you. So definitely love this series. Give it a try. I think you will enjoy it. Next one is the Belgariad series by David Eddings. So I really recommend this one because I feel like it has similar themes in both series. So Dragonlance is all about, at least the Chronicles, not all of the series, but at least the Dragonlance Chronicles, the first three, is about good against evil, and the goddess Tychis comes down from her plane and is trying to get a grip on the human world in order to, or I guess it's not the human world, it's the world of Kryn, to take it over and subjugate it and all that. Well, in the Belgariad series, it is also about an evil god. His name is Torak, and he would like to also subjugate the world and turn it evil and to make it into his little playground. So in this, both series, it is a good against evil type story, and it is the people of the world, another large cast of main characters, and this cast is with a one particular special person named Geryon. He is supposed to be very important in defeating Torak and saving the world from Torak's wrath. So there's a lot of those similarities there. They each have magic users in there with their own unique magic system of how magic works in the world. But it's not everybody, it's specific people in the cast that do have magic and do use magic to help win against evil. It's a very big journey-based story, which is also the same as Dragonlance, at least the Chronicles. It's very much a journey-based storyline. So it's really very a lot of similarities. We even have interactions with gods and goddesses in both stories. So I'm not going to say that it's the same story, and it doesn't feel like the same story, but it does have a lot of similar aspects in both. And I think that you would like that, since both have a kind of a similar formula to them, at least from the Chronicles to the Belgariad series. So definitely check this one out if you like it. It's also an older book series written a similar timing to Dragonlance, so it has that same kind of classic sense of fantasy to it. And last but not least, number 5 is going to be the Four Pillars series by H.M. Long. And the reason I recommend this book, even though I don't really feel like it has the same feel as Dragonlance, is because this book is really immersed in mythology. So if what you really like about Dragonlance is the gods, the goddesses, the interaction with the gods and goddesses with the people who live in the world, of them trying to subjugate the world in some cases or to defeat other gods, that will be what you would like about this series, because the Four Pillars series is all about the gods and goddesses and how they are trying to either corrupt the world, how they're trying to manipulate their people to their advantage, about how a girl named Hessa is the last person or priestess of her god Yang, and she kind of learns that everything is not what it seems when it comes to the gods and goddesses of the world, and there's possibly the fact that they are fake, and has to figure out what is going on after all of her other people were killed. So it has a really interesting plot. It's got a lot of suspense to it, and it's got a lot of that mythology interacting with the characters, and it being the reason for the plot line. Like the gods and goddesses are what is the plot is revolving around. So has some great characters, has a lot more edginess to it, a little bit of a darker story, a little bit more of an intense story. But I do think if you like at least that aspect, the mythology aspect, you will really like this other series because it is all about mythology. So I will just say for this series though, it doesn't have a lot of humor, unlike Dragonlance. Dragonlance has a lot of humor to it and has a lot of those light moments. This book is all just powering through the intensity of it. So do be aware that there is that shift in tone, and maybe that might not be for you, or it might be for you. But either way, keep that in mind of that difference. So, all right, I guess those are my 5 series recommendations based on if you like Dragonlance and why. Again, if you have read any of these series already and think they are a good recommendation, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Or if you don't think it's a good recommendation, let me know why. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. And if you have any recommendations for if somebody likes the Dragonlance series, what they should read, I would love to hear about it and to get your opinions as well, so I can try them out if I haven't read them. All right, I guess that's it for me today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.